Have you ever walked away from a conversation feeling completely confused, like something was wrong, but you couldn't explain it properly? You remember what was said, you remember how it made you feel, but the other person speaks with so much confidence that you start questioning yourself instead. That's where self-doubt quietly begins. In certain toxic dynamics, it's not always the obvious insults or arguments that cause the most damage. It's the small phrases repeated over time that slowly make you question your own memory, your emotions, and even your judgment. You stop trusting what you feel and start relying on what someone else tells you is real. Today, we will talk about 6 phrases narcissists use to make you doubt your own mind. Before we start, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to my channel. 6. That never happened. One of the most powerful ways to make someone doubt their own mind is simple denial. When a narcissist says, "That never happened," they are not just disagreeing, they are rewriting reality in real time. Even when you clearly remember the words, the situation, or the promise, they act as if it never existed. Over time, this creates a deep internal conflict because your memory says one thing, but the person in front of you speaks with complete certainty about another version of events. At first, you try to defend what you remember. You try to explain it more clearly, maybe even prove it with details or context. But when denial keeps repeating, something subtle starts to shift inside you. You begin to slow down your own certainty. You hesitate before speaking. You replay moments in your mind trying to find where you might have been wrong. And eventually, you start thinking, what if I got it wrong? Even when deep down you still know what happened. That small crack in confidence becomes the beginning of self-doubt, where your own perception no longer feels fully reliable. And you start relying less on your memory, and more on their version of reality. 5. You're too sensitive. This phrase slowly shifts the focus away from what actually happened and places it on your emotional reaction instead. On the surface, "you're too sensitive" can sound like feedback, but underneath it sends a strong message that your feelings are excessive, wrong, or inconvenient for others to deal with. Instead of addressing the behavior that triggered your response, it labels your reaction as the problem. Over time, this changes how you behave. You start holding back emotions that are completely normal. You stop expressing discomfort, not because the situation doesn't affect you, but because you want to avoid being dismissed again or made to feel like you are too much. You begin filtering yourself in real time, choosing silence over honesty just to maintain peace. And when this pattern repeats, the impact goes deeper than communication. You don't only start hiding your emotions from others, you start questioning them inside your own mind. You begin to wonder if your reactions are incorrect, exaggerated, or unnecessary. Slowly, you lose trust in something very important: your emotional signals. 4. You're overthinking it. When you try to understand confusing or inconsistent behavior, you are often told, "You're overthinking it." On the surface, it sounds harmless, even calming. But psychologically, it does something much deeper. It reframes awareness as a flaw. Instead of being encouraged to trust your instincts or notice patterns, you start doubting your ability to interpret situations correctly. Slowly, you begin to feel like clarity itself is unnecessary, or even wrong. So you start holding back your thoughts. You stop analyzing situations even when something clearly feels off, inconsistent, or emotionally confusing. You silence your own questioning before it even develops into understanding. Over time, this weakens your natural instincts. Your mind learns to shut itself down early, before it reaches conclusions. You start associating deep thinking with being dramatic, too sensitive, or too much. And once that association forms, you don't just lose clarity, you start losing confidence in your own perception. Your inner voice becomes quieter, while doubt becomes louder. Eventually, you stop trusting the very part of you that was trying to protect you by noticing something was wrong. 3. I never said that. This is one of the most psychologically disorienting phrases because it directly challenges your memory. You remember the conversation clearly. The words, the tone, even the emotional weight of it. But when you bring it up, it is completely denied, not with confusion or uncertainty, but with full confidence. I never said that. That kind of certainty creates internal conflict. Now your memory is not just being questioned, it is being opposed. And when this happens once or twice, you might shrug it off. But when it happens repeatedly, something starts to shift inside your mind. You begin to hesitate before trusting your own recollection. You replay conversations again and again, not to understand them, but to verify whether you are remembering them correctly. You start searching your own mind for proof that what you experienced was real. And slowly, even clear memories start feeling uncertain. This is where the impact becomes deeper than disagreement. Your mind starts adapting to constant contradiction. Instead of trusting what you remember, you begin doubting it first. Not because your memory is weak, but because it is constantly being challenged by someone else's denial of reality. And over time, that repeated pressure slowly erodes confidence in yourself. You stop standing firmly in what you know happened, and start living in a space where even your clearest experiences feel questionable. 2. You're making things up. Unlike simple denial, this phrase doesn't just reject what you are saying, it attacks your perception itself. It is no longer just that didn't happen, it becomes you are imagining it. And that shift is powerful, because now the issue is not just disagreement, it becomes your ability to understand reality. You start feeling like your mind cannot be trusted. Over time, this can slowly damage your confidence in your own thinking. You begin to second-guess what you feel, what you notice, and even what you clearly experience. Moments that were once certain start feeling questionable. You replay events in your mind, not to understand them, but to check if you are wrong again. That fear replaces clarity. Instead of trusting your instincts, you start depending on how others define events for you. And slowly, your own judgment starts feeling less reliable than someone else's version of reality. 1. Nobody else has a problem with me. This phrase works by isolating your experience instead of directly arguing against it. It suggests that if others are not reacting the same way, then your reaction must be the problem. It quietly pushes you into a position where your perception feels like the odd one out, like you are the only one not seeing things correctly. At first, you may try to defend yourself more. You explain your side again and again, hoping to be understood. You might even compare your experience with others, trying to prove that what you feel is real. But over time, the emotional impact shifts. You start questioning yourself simply because you feel alone in your perception. And that isolation is heavy, because when your experience is not reflected or validated by others, it becomes easier to doubt yourself than to trust what you clearly see and feel. What do you think about our video? Let me know in the comments below. Before you go, leave a like and subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching.